It's live on KEXP. I'm your host, DJ Kevin Cole from listener-powered, independent, 90.3 FM, KEXP, broadcasting live in Seattle and streaming 24/7 at kexp.org and via our mobile apps. And KEXP is a nonprofit arts organization. These live performances are made possible by donations from listeners, people just like you. And today I'm so happy to be joined by Angie McMahon and band here on KEXP. Just love the new album, Light, Dark, Light Again, and am excited to hear songs from it.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so happy to be here.
Great. Welcome. And how about a set of music, and then we'll talk a bit about the album.
We can do that. That's what we came for. We're going to start with a song called Fireball Whiskey. Drank too much squeezing your self-esteem like dirt coming out of your skin. Well, you were loving me, you were suffering. I was dragging out the ending, 'cause I was sure I wouldn't get a second round on young. And while I was loving you, I was buffering. Now I'm not falling for it. I know you're not trying to play tricks. Now I'm not crossing over the boundary. There's a reason that we drew this. Now I'm not coming over. Learning takes longer than this. I couldn't help thinking you might be my fish. I was brewing with sharper teeth. Now out for something I could hit up against. You were water when I wanted brick. Said for back to and in no time come back thirsty. Coming closer, trying to fix how we feel when I'm low. And I call out for your confidence. Now you're not falling for it. Do you know I'm not trying to play tricks? Now you have drawn another boundary. There's the reason that I do this. Now you're not coming over. Learning takes longer than this. I couldn't help thinking you might I sometimes felt stronger with someone at home who was sending me all this desire. But I started to feel like a fish in the ocean who knows that it's caught on a wire. Sometimes felt stronger with someone at home who was sending me all this desire. But I started to feel like a fish in the ocean who knows it's caught on a wire. Sometimes feel stronger with someone at home. Sometimes feel stronger with someone at home. Sometimes feel stronger with someone at home who was sending me all this desire. But I started to feel like a fish in the ocean who knows it's caught on a wire. But I started to feel like a fish in the ocean who knows it's caught on a wire. Thank you.
Angie McMahon live on KEXP, playing songs from the new album, Light, Dark, Light Again.
Thank you. Oh, it's so great to be here. We've seen this studio online so much, so it's very nice to be in the real life world. This is a song called Black Eye. Trying to find the language where I relate to you. A song I forget the words to. It feels so good when it makes sense. Trying to kiss away the bleeding and the blue. I don't feel bad for loving you. Just the way I apply super glue, super heavy. Black eye, I got so high. Blackbird, I don't know where to put my heart. Heard you talk about where you were feeling pain. My unsolicited advice came down harder than expected. Anxious little mess, I'm trying to insert myself like a vaccine into your arm. I didn't know I was doing harm, but I don't know what I am if I'm not your medicine. Black eye, I got so high on you. Blackbird, I don't know where to put my hurt. Black dog, I'm keeping my eye on you. Blackbird, I'm trying to balance everything. 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 I'm trying to Blackbird, Black dog, I've got my own view. Blackbird, I don't know where to put my hurt. All right. Well, thanks for letting us sing to you and play. This one's called Letting Go. I might have spent 6 months lying on my living room floor. I might have been sick and well and sick some more. I might be proud of me than I ever have been. I've been learning about letting go, how to do it without my claws scratching the surfaces. I've been learning about wasting time and closing some doors, hoping to open them down. I knew from miles away that I would detonate. I tried some magic tricks to skip my fate, and then I gave up the borders, a defense. It's okay, it's okay. Make mistakes, make mistakes. 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 It's okay, it's okay. Make mistakes, make mistakes, make mistakes, make mistakes. Thank you.
Angie McMahon live on KEXP, ending there with my theme song. That is a great song to sing along to.
I'm so glad that we played your theme song. That's so nice.
Letting Go is the name of the track. Right before that, Black Eye, Fish, and Fireball Whiskey, all from the latest album, Light, Dark, Light Again. And Angie, do you mind introducing your fantastic band?
I would love to. On my left, this is Jess Ellwood, guitars and vocals. On bass guitar, we have Alex O'Gorman, bass and vocals. On drums and vocals, Lachlan O'Kane. And over there on keys and vocals, Stella Farnan.
Thank you.
My glue, my family.
Sounded fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having us. It's so fun.
Great. Light, Dark, Light Again is the new album. And could you talk a little bit about the theme of lightness on this record?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was a lot of confusion and pain in my life before I got to the point where I felt like I had finished a record or knew what to make the record about, I guess. And as I was working through that, I was writing a lot of music, and that was the thing that made me feel sane and balanced. And that was really the light for me, and also just focusing on what to make the music about, what I wanted to be singing about when eventually we did get the chance to perform it. And so I tried to put in as much light as I could.
When you think about what it's going to be like to performance, obviously then you're thinking about yourself and how much fun it might be to play, and also I would imagine the audience and how they might respond. And I imagine a song like Letting Go really evokes a great response.
Yeah, it does. We've had a really lovely time playing that live so far. I mean, we're really just starting to tour the record. We just arrived in America yesterday, and this is the first run of headline shows since the record has come out. But it does have that really nice effect, and even just playing it then, I felt... I think what I was trying to generate was as much for myself, like good energy and relief for myself, and then hopefully it does feed out into the crowd. But I felt it just then at the end of the set, like a little bit of a breath out. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that is fantastic. Well, can you talk a little bit then about just sort of the mind-body connection, because you sort of hint at it right there when you talked about that feeling of letting go and what you wanted to feel like when you play it, and maybe how important that is to you as you think about writing songs, right, and think about transforming energy.
yeah, it's just become so important. I didn't always understand the mind-body connection. I think still I'm probably very much just at the beginning of understanding it. But
I don't think a lot of people understand it, how powerful it can be.
it's so powerful. And I think I spent a lot of time in my head. I'm quite an anxious person, anxious thinker. But for me, a lot of the relief that I found in my life and in, the past few years, which I was finding hard in some ways mentally, I got relief from like running and dancing and moving my body and getting out of my head, and I couldn't believe how effective that was and life changing just to release things that way. And so, yeah, that became a really important part of my music making, but also just my way of trying to be in the world. And I didn't used to understand it as much, but now before a show or anything important, I try to stretch or do something that will get me in my body and out of my head, and it's a completely different experience.
Yeah. When you become aware of like the constant dialogue in your head, and I think everybody has it. I hope. I mean, I don't hope, whatever, depending on what that dialogue is. But yeah, just being aware is a huge step, and then being able to accept that and change it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, there's books and worlds of research and knowledge on somatic, therapy and those things that I've just started learning about them, and I'm so grateful for all of that wisdom because it's life changing.
So when you say, you sort of integrate that into your life, was the songwriting process for this new album different from the first in that you felt more like the songwriting was just part of your life, not something that you should or need to do?
Yeah, it was. It took me a while to write the record, and at the start of the record writing process, it felt like something I just needed to write songs, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to pull them out of myself. But it ended up being the songs that made their way onto the record ended up being the ones that felt the best in my body, or felt like what was coming out was what I needed to hear. It was quite a lot of self-soothing going on, and so it was. It was really nice to just kind of lean into what felt right and what wasn't what I thought I needed to say, or how I needed, to rewrite a certain narrative in my life. Or, it was more just like giving my nervous system some regulation and some calming and like talking compassionately to myself. That kind of ended up being like the driving force behind a lot of the songs, which I'm really grateful for now that we're playing them, because I still feel it. Yeah,
that's a great way to describe it. As if the body feels good when you're playing it,
right,
versus in your head when you're overanalyzing, perhaps. And to that kind of point, were you ever concerned about maybe the openness or vulnerability, like thinking like, should I really do this or say this?
Yeah, I felt worried that it would be cheesy. Like, there's a lot of like affirmations and mantras happening, and I guess there was a voice in my head that was, there's a lot of voices in my head, but there was one that was like, don't be lame. Like, don't be making music about self-care and self-love because it's uncool. And luckily that voice was quieted by, this deep physical need to make music that was about that. But I guess I was more unsure just of myself as an artist, just like developing and kind of like trying something new. I think being vulnerable is a part of the work, and I've always felt really grateful for the way that people receive vulnerability in music. Like, I think we all want to connect to each other, and vulnerability is maybe a really important piece of that. But definitely it makes me a bit shaky and a bit scared. Yeah.
I can tell you firsthand, every time I play Letting Go and Making It Through, which is a lot, listeners always write and text me and say, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now.
That's really nice to hear.
And that doesn't happen with other songs. Like those two in particular, people are just freaking out, and it just seems like it's a message they needed to hear.
That's really nice.
Thanks
you for telling me that.
Thank you for opening up and putting those out. Okay, so going to change the subject here, kind of. Fred again samples one of your songs.
He does.
The song Pasta, with the line, I've been lost for a while. And what was it like for you to hear one of your songs or one of your phrases in a completely different musical context?
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, he sent me a SoundCloud link to it when he first made it.
So he didn't reach out ahead of time and say, hey, do you mind if I use a hook of your song? Or...
He asked before it was released. Yeah, but he was kind of like, hey, I've done this thing. What do you think? And it was so out of the blue and out of context for me at the time. I was like, great, yeah.
Did you know who he was at the time?
No, I had no idea who he was. And I didn't really think anything of it again until fast forward. I start getting a lot of like social media interactions based off that song, and he's like playing in German festivals to 70,000 people or something. People are like, I saw you on the screen, and I'm like working on my record. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not there. But I've actually, in my own life, separate to the Fred again scenario, I've become really much more interested in music production and started learning how to use, Ableton and things that I didn't used to
think too much about. It's just been like a really exciting thing for me as well. And so now I find myself at a point where it all kind of makes sense, and it just feels like something I'm more and more interested in. And it ties into what you're talking about with the mind and body thing, and how dancing has been a big antidote for my anxiety. I kind of am glad that there's dance versions of my music, and I kind of want to make more. So that's been really nice to find out.
Yeah, it must be cool too to think that you can do both at the same time in a way, right?
Yeah. And he's just, he's like holding the torch for that song, and he's given it a whole other life, and I appreciate it because, it sort of feels like a lot of things happening at once.
Yeah, that's cool. I read that you recently played with him in
Yes.
Melbourne, like a hometown gig.
Yeah, he was in Melbourne last week in like arenas, and he was sort of like, "Would you want to come and do the song?" And I was like, "I can try." And it was so fun. It was great. I loved it. So that is just something I didn't think that I would be doing, but it was really special.
Very cool. Angie McMahon live on KEXP. Really appreciate you taking the time to stop by. Especially, you got to be feeling some jet lag.
A little bit. I actually did sleep 9 hours last night. But yeah, we got in yesterday afternoon, and I think kind of collectively we're pleasantly surprised at the very comfortable sleep that we had.
Nice.
Is that some of them are laughing? I don't know if you slept.
There's a certain bliss to it.
Yeah,
to that kind of traveling.
I did think we might be completely fried this morning, but actually just very happy to be here.
Yeah,
so,
you sound absolutely fantastic. So thank you all. Really appreciate it. Again, Angie McMahon live on KEXP. Huge thanks to the KEXP crew. Thanks to everybody listening and watching. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications when we launch videos like this session. And again, these sessions are made possible by donations from listeners, music lovers just like you. So thanks to everybody who donates. I'm Kevin Cole. Thanks for listening and watching. It's live on KEXP.
Thank you.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.